The following program is a presentation of the BeaverDamUSA.com network.
It's time for SEC Pigskin Picks, live from Catfish County, featuring Coach Billy Jack Hoover, Shelley Sizemore, and me, Professor Thorndike Sinclair. 4,998, 4,999, 5,000. Feel better, Coach?
I was punishing myself, Professor.
Because we missed one game last week?
That's right. It's called holding yourself accountable. You could do a little something to hold yourself accountable, Professor.
Oh, I think I already do. I just sat here and watched you do 5,000 push-ups. That was pretty punishing. And you know, Coach, your back was slouching a little bit after about 3,500.
It was not, Professor. Talk about football.
Johnny Football and Texas A&M dethroned Alabama, making a 6-1 last week. For the year, we're 79-13. That's pretty good.
But it ain't perfect. We give 110%. Leave it all on the field. Bring the pain. Every single...
Coach, they get it. We've got lots of games to get through today. Let's get to it.
Get us back in the swing of things, Professor. Talk about some slacker games. And there are some gigantical slacker games this week.
Gigantical is right, Coach. Alabama A&M visits Auburn.
Well, and then again, some of them aren't so gigantical.
Before the season began, this was supposed to be a scrimmage for the Tigers a week before the Iron Bowl. As things have turned out, Auburn is winless in conference play and 2-8 overall. Alabama A&M, on the other hand, brings a 7-3 record to Jordan-Hare Stadium. Bottom line, Auburn players know this is their last chance to notch a victory for probable lame duck coach Gene Chizik. Regardless of Auburn's problems, they will prevail against Alabama A&M. Speaking of A&M's coach, Sam Houston State visits Texas A&M.
Sam Houston State is 8-2 this year, and the Texas A&M game is their regular season finale. The Aggies are fresh off that monumental upset of Alabama last week and send Sam Houston State home pretty beat up. While we're on the subject, South Carolina will do the same to Wofford. We're almost insulting the listeners' intelligence with some of these, Professor.
You couldn't be talking about Georgia Southern at Georgia or Jacksonville State at Florida.
Who plays the Little Sisters of the Poor this week, Professor?
They're off this week, Coach, but this one is just about as bad. Western Carolina versus Alabama.
I heard they're not going to let children under 17 in the stadium due to excessive violence. Nick Saban will be Freddy Krueger and Jason all rolled into one. Saban was spitting nails Saturday night. With the Tide falling to number 5 in the coaches' poll, you can bet they'll be ready to put some points on the board. Look for them to get the starters in and keep them in. I can't imagine a team being in a worse situation than Western Carolina.
Kentucky is probably the worst team in the East. We'll know for sure next week when they play Tennessee. Samford has a 7-3 record. Kentucky will win, Coach. Now, one of the better matchups this week comes in Columbia, Missouri, where the Tigers entertain Syracuse. The Orangemen, you might recall, beat previously unbeaten Louisville last week, while Missouri was notching its first SEC win in Knoxville. Both teams are 5-5, but Syracuse will win it.
I agree, Professor. And LSU will handle Ole Miss, and Arkansas will fall to Mississippi State.
Those should wrap up pretty early.
All right, Professor, get Shelley Sizemore on the phone. She's on the way to Nashville, Tennessee for the Vandy versus Tennessee game. Hey, everybody, this is Coach Billy Jack Hoover. You know, I told you to visit www.beaverdamusa.com. Well, there's not much to see there yet, but I promise you it'll get better. You got my word on it. Now back to the show. But now by Miss Shelley Sizemore, who's headed to this week's Slobber Knocker Game of the Week, Vanderbilt versus Tennessee. Where are you, Shelley?
Waffle House in downtown Nashville with none other than Taylor Swift.
Who's he? He ain't that Harry Slacker from them vampire movies, is he?
No, that's Taylor Oh, never mind, Coach. Taylor Swift is a girl, and she's only the most famous singer on the planet. lived next door to my cousins growing up. We'd go over there every summer for a week or so and visit. Okay, honey, go on. I'll be off the phone in a minute. Taylor just went to the ladies' room. Anyway, we'd visit them, and she always wanted to sing. She wasn't as big as a minute, but she'd belt it out at the top of her lungs.
A natural-born singer, huh?
Are you kidding? Couldn't carry a tune in a bucket. The upside was the whole town never had a mosquito problem. Well, finally, one day, her mother gave me $10 and a gallon of sweet tea to give her voice lessons, and the rest is history. She said if I was ever in town to give her a call, and that's what I did.
You taught the most famous singer on the planet how to sing?
Well, what can I say? Fa la 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 la. Shh, here she comes. I better talk about the game.
Great idea, Shelley.
Well, Vanderbilt and Tennessee are programs going in vastly different directions. While James Franklin has the Commodores bowl eligible and rolling along right now, the mess in Knoxville isn't going to get any better anytime soon. Derek Dooley's third year in Knoxville has been a disaster, but I don't have to tell you that. Vandy smells blood in the water. Then there is the matter of that video someone shot of Dooley's post-game speech in the UT locker room after the Vandy game last year. Remember that, Coach?
Yeah, and I bet the Commodores remember it too.
Do they? This town is all black and gold, Coach. The Vandy bandwagon is picking up steam, and they'll get some revenge against UT on Saturday. Now, I've got to go help Taylor with a little boyfriend problem.
So long, Shelley. And so long from the Beaver Dam Roadside Tavern. For Professor Thorndike Sinclair, this is Coach Billy Jack Hoover. Now remember, follow me on Twitter at Coach Billy J, and follow Shelley at CHELY Sizemore. Now give me 20 slackers.
No, Taylor, you can never, ever, ever get back together with him. I don't care. He's no good for you, and this is what you need to do. This has been a presentation of the BeaverDamUSA.com network.